All right, good morning, everyone. So we're going to look briefly at some of the rendering tools the SolidWorks has, namely PhotoView 360 and then the animation tool. With these exercises, you're going to use the parts that we've previously created, um, so that you guys can do these exercises and kind of see, some of the tools that SolidWorks has. SolidWorks can produce images that are realistic looking. It can be beneficial for demonstration, if you're doing a product design, for a potential customer, if you want to show them, exactly what you're talking about, or maybe put it in a certain scene, just make it stand out more. Or if you're doing some type of product demonstration for some coworkers, so maybe they don't exactly understand what the final product is supposed to be or what it's supposed to look like. You can put all this into a presentation and go, one or two steps beyond, just showing them your SolidWorks model. PhotoView 360 is an add-on that produces photorealistic images or renderings in SolidWorks models. The rendered images incorporate the appearances, different lighting, different scenes, and then decals that are included with the model. It's available, on the SolidWorks Professional, Premium, or it should be on the educational version as well. When you create a PhotoView 360 rendering, for the most realistic results, you want to add a camera with perspective, or at least turn on, a perspective view. PhotoView provides two ways to preview renders, so you can see it in the graphics area or in a separate preview window. If you're editing, you can edit things like the lighting. The lighting in PhotoView 360 comes from the primary PhotoView 360 lighting scene environment, so you can put a sun on one side or sunlight on one side or the other, just depending on if you want shadows one way or the other, or what you want to highlight. You can include dimensions and annotations in a final PhotoView 360 rendering. You can simulate dynamic blurring effect, creating a static image of a moving object using motion blur. So if you wanted to show it, what it may look like if it was moving, you can do that. Caustics, when light refracts through or reflects off of a surface, the bent rays are focused together. This creates a bright pattern referred to as caustic. You can do cartoon rendering with PhotoView 360. You can look at different options in the property manager. You can use your final render window to make detailed adjustments, just depending on how it looks, how you want it to look. If you're doing some bigger projects, this is not something we'll get into, but you can use network rendering. You can use SolidWorks subscription services to use PhotoView 360 across multiple computers. You can do scheduled rendering, so if you're going to do batch rendering, you can set it to a certain time, save it to a file, and set it to start rendering at a certain time. And then you can save rendered images. There's a variety of different file types, each having some different properties. So this is what you'll go through in your first assignment here in Chapter 7. So you'll learn how to load and unload the PhotoView 360. You'll remove appearances to parts. You'll add decal, which is a 2D image that's applied to a model. So you can apply warning or instruction labels to models. You can put like a grill on the front of a car. You can create model details that you can represent with an image instead of the model geometry, such as car grill or picture frame. You can add scene to a view, so you can put a visual backdrop behind the model. So in SolidWorks, they provide reflections on the model. With PhotoView 360 added in, scenes provide a realistic light source, including illumination and reflections, requiring less manipulation of lighting. The objects and lights in the scene can form reflections on the model and can cast shadows on the floor. Right. So if you're wanting to put something outside, like you model a car, you want to have it in some outdoor scene, right? It'll have the outdoor lighting and shadows and things like that. You'll learn how to edit scene lighting, PhotoView 360 options, do a final render, save your images, do a perspective view, and then make an assembly. You also look at animation, right? So use animation to create simple animations. You use interpolation to specify point-to-point motion of parts and assemblies. You can also apply motor-based animations to assembly components using animation. To use the motion study, you'll select animation from the motion studies type in the motion manager, and you can define using keyframes. So you can move the time bar along the timeline to define the time for the next change in the assembly position. You can move the assembly components in the graphic area to positions corresponding to the assembly position at key points. And you define the type of motion by applying motors to assembly components. You'll define the type of motor and then specify how the motor drives the assembly. So, you can set a motor, to turn the speed reducer that we've created. So you can set it to turn that where it'll turn both gears. You can set the amount of RPMs, how fast it's going to go, how long you want it to animate, just depending on what you want to show and how complex the model can be. So you'll create a motion study, you'll animate the component's motion, animate or change the component's appearance, change the animation start and stop time, manually add a time key, turn off the viewpoint animation, animate your viewpoint change, animate your exploder view, add a rotary motor, and then save your animation to a video, an MP4 file.